This clause is stated in the perspective of the indirect object, the boy. The indirect object gets the definition of the transitive verb, a word, from the subject through the direct object. The third conference is this. The boy is awarded the certificate for verifying his stamina from the principal. The indirect object, the boy, gets the definition of the transitive verb and the direct object from the subject. So, the indirect object as the subject is described with the action in a sequence. We can verify the relationship between the past participle awarded as an adjective and the object, the certificate. We can think of the direct object, the certificate, to get the definition of the transitive verb award. At first, the fact that the definition of the transitive verb award is conveyed to the direct object from the subject is constant. The past participle as a subjective complement of the transitive verb award to the certificate. So the certificate are applied as the object of the subjective complement. The object of the subjective complement is not considered the 5 types of. This is the reason why we apply the 5 types of to analyze a clause that is already stated. The speaker in the passive voice states the clause in the perspective of the indirect object, the boy, to get the action indicated by the transitive verb award at last. The relationship that the subject, the principal, conveys the direct object, the certificate, to the indirect object, the boy, through the action indicated by the transitive verb award remains in a clause that the speaker states with the focus on the indirect object, the boy. In any perspective, the speaker focuses on the fact that the definition of the transitive verb award is conveyed from the subject to the indirect object through the direct object. The object, the certificate, to get the action indicated by the transitive verb award, practices the role as the object of the subjective complement awarded from the second transitivity of the transitive verb award. The first transitivity is applied to reveal the trait as the subjective complement to describe the condition of the indirect object that is the subject of this clause. The first transitivity, the form of the transitive word transform into the past participle awarded to have the new role. The transitive verb award has the new trait as an adjective in this clause. This is because of the first transitivity. The trait of a word is switched. The first transitivity is about the structure. Of the clause. The second transitivity is about the definition. The definition of the transitive verb or word is still conveyed to the object, the certificate, from the subject, the original subject, the principle. The second transitivity of a transitive verb. Let's study more about the second transitivity. The clause is the same with the third conference. The second transitivity of the transitive verb indicates the additional transitivity that the transitive verb transformed into a form of the past participle to be accorded with the trait to describe the object in a subject-object relationship, conveys the definition of the transitive verb to another object. The past participle is applied to describe the object in a relationship with the subject. The object is already interacted with the subject. The proof of the interaction is revealed with the form as the past participle awarded. Then we can wonder about the relationship with the past participle awarded and the object, the certificate. With the perspective that a word functions with the two features. The first one is the definition of the word, and the second one is the trait of the word. The trait of the word is accorded with the form as the past participle. The definition of the word is conveyed is still valid. The subjective complement awarded has the form of the past participle to be accorded with the trait as the adjective to describe the indirect object, the boy, as the subject in this clause. The direct object, the certificate, exists in the relationship to get the action indicated by the transitive verb or word from the subject, the principle. So the direct object, the certificates are apprehensible to practice the role as the object of the subjective complement awarded from the second transitivity of the transitive verb or word. The object of the subjective complement is a role that is not introduced in the 5 types of clause. So the clause that the first type of clause is stated in the perspective of the indirect object is not classified into the 5 types of clause. The system to classify all clause into the 5 types is not always applicable in any case because the system is the result of the inductive analysis. There can be an exception And this is the exceptional case.